Welcome back to the United Pubcast, the podcast of the official Man United Supporters Club here in Sydney for the match preview. Manchester United are on the way up the ladder, so we are here in positive spirits, looking forward to the match on the weekend against Southampton. It is a rare early or prime time kickoff for us here in Sydney, so I'll get into all that in regards to what Sydney Reds are doing in a little bit. But as you can tell, different setting for both Larry and I. So, Larry, I'm just saying you are in Australia. It does look a little bit dark there.
Yeah, I definitely am in Australia, Tom. It's going to be the United car cast for me tonight.
And hotel for me. So, a little bit of a different setting ahead of the weekend, but both Larry and I will be at Scruffy Murphy's on Saturday night to discuss or to watch Manchester United, hopefully. Fingers crossed, maybe Casemiro debut as well. Potentially, who knows? I only just had this thought a little bit about 20 minutes ago, Larry. It could be Ronaldo's last appearance in a Man United shirt. So, there are a lot of talking points going into this match. So, I will say g'day to some people in the live chat. Rob here, good to see you, mate. Reports Casemiro has his permit, will train today. Good news, I haven't seen that, but in regards to that was my next question in regards to, has anyone heard anything about Casemiro? He was unveiled on the pitch, that's great, but does he have a permit? Is he able to train? Obviously those questions do need to be answered. Viking here, good to see you, mate. George and Chris, as always, good to have you in here, lads. Make sure you get all your opinions in. A little bit of a different laptop for me here today, so if I do sort of have a bit of a mare with the comments, do bear with me. Adam here, good to see you, mate. So I'll try and get to as many comments as possible, but we'll try and keep the conversation flowing as usual. So apologies if I don't get to those, but we'll crack straight into it, Larry. Where do you want to start in regards to this? There's transfer bids, which we'll get into in a little bit in regards to Antony and Dubravka. There's the Casemiro situation, but ultimately, building off Liverpool, 3 points. We are above Liverpool in the ladder. I think Southampton are potentially above us. Not that I'm looking at the table too closely after 3 games, but off the back of that Liverpool game, obviously huge result, huge performance. It's one of those ones now where you look at Southampton and you think, well, hang on, Southampton's the test. Liverpool was the easy one. You're up for that. You sort of played off the crowd were up for it. Liverpool were bad on the day. It's one of those ones, if you don't beat Southampton, Liverpool just might as well have gone in the bin. That means nothing. So Liverpool's the bigger game. Is Southampton actually bigger now when you sort of take a step back and look at that bigger picture?
Yeah, agree with all your sentiments, Tom. It is a massive game for Manchester United. Like we said, the Liverpool result was massive in terms of team morale, massive for Erik ten Hag to secure his first victory in a competitive match as Manchester United manager. But all eyes go to Southampton, because if we come away from the match at St Mary's, 4 games down and only 3 points to our name, or 4 points to our name, it doesn't really put us in good stead for the season. So United need to go to St Mary's and they need to get a result.
What is Southampton? Because they're one of these teams that they can go out and lose 9-0, but they're one of the teams that could go to the Etihad, or they could go to Anfield and they could pick a point, or they could get a result at Old Trafford, sort of thing. So what do you make of Manchester at Southampton? Sorry, because I think one of the lazy things we always think about them, don't give away a free kick. James Ward-Prowse will put it in the top corner. Now, is that all they are, or do they have a little bit more about them? Obviously the manager has sort of provided a little bit of stability and consistency in regards to their team and their squad, and obviously he hasn't been sacked, so he's been there quite a while now, the manager, so the fair play to him. He sort of stung around and sort of got through some tricky periods, so that stability is obviously going to stand them in sort of good ground. But what do you make of Southampton? Are they a team that just exist in the Premier League, or is there a team or a sort of threat there that you think, oh, hang on, this team could do Man United?
Well, they've been in the Premier League for a long time now, Tom. It has to be at least 6-7 years. Southampton have stuck around for a little bit. In terms of, look, James Ward-Prowse is their most dangerous and prolific player, and rightfully so. He is obviously a great threat in terms of set pieces, in terms of corners. And they do offer, though, they're a big side. And I think that's obviously going to be United's greatest threat. I mean, talking about Lisandro Martinez, I know it's lazy. I know it's almost frustrating as a United fan. But these are where the greater challenges are going to be for him. If I look at Liverpool's front three, more diminutive, they play more football, for lack of a better term. The likes of Southampton, the likes of Fulham, the sides that have lesser players will look to attack United in terms of set pieces. We are a smaller side this season, so that will be the challenge. And the other thing is, how will Southampton set up against United? Because Liverpool play quite an open style, which you might say benefited United. So if Southampton play to sit back, how do United break them down? That's been the challenge for the last 3 seasons.
You mentioned, just a comment here, I haven't seen the live chat for a while. Ugly Bear, good to see you, mate. Hope you are keeping well. Just on that, in your regard, you mentioned Southampton and their physicality and their height. Lisandro Martinez comes into that discussion because of the narrative around him. Now, if you do look at his performances, it really shouldn't, because he is quite dominant. However, you do look at some selection headaches. Okay, how are you going to play that back four? Why does Scott McTominay get picked? Does he only get picked? I'm not saying this, but the narrative, he only gets picked for his height. But here we are, we're having a discussion about the physicality and different heights of different players. How much of Southampton's physical presence does that alter your team selection or Erik ten Hag's team selection? Is Scott McTominay a certain starter if Martinez is starting to sort of counteract? Because obviously Scott McTominay was quite sort of pivotal in regards to defending a lot of crosses from Liverpool over the weekend. So do you think Erik ten Hag's going, stuff, I'm going to play football my way? Or do you think he sees a threat that he's really going to have to counteract?
It's really difficult. I think if Ten Hag has it all his way, United keep the ball better and they're not so prone on the counter-attack. Now, with Lisandro Martinez and Rafael Varane, and given what we saw against Liverpool, you have to think that with that defensive partnership, and Malacia, to be fair, it's quite a pacey back four. You think that there's a little bit more security. I don't know about you, I felt most comfortable watching that back four, like the title of the thumbnail says. So I have more confidence that this side can play more football, and if they can play more football, the size of the team won't necessarily matter. I guess the concern, particularly if you look at the Brentford match, was United was so open, and all the goals we conceded weren't because of the size of United. I mean, yes, you can argue the goal where Me gets over Martinez. I personally put that down to positioning. I don't know if that's because of his size. So if United, if you look at all three other goals, pure errors that are avoidable. It had nothing to do with size. So it's all about United getting the performance right. If they get the performance right, it'll go a long way to getting the result.
Well, if I can hear thinking along those lines, we're saying if we counter-attack with our pacey forwards, I see scoring at least two. Yeah, I think it's one of those ones, especially you look at Rashford's potential confidence as well, Jadon Sancho. If Man United are on the front foot and on it in regards to physicality and their attitude, we've got the quality to hurt Southampton, no doubt. Ashby here, good to see you, mate. Have you left your keys in the house, Larry?
I haven't left my keys in the house, mate. I've got an appointment to head to at 7:45, so I'm just bumming around until then.
We've got plenty of time. My next point was, before we get into starting 11s, the back four has to, which you sort of alluded to, back four has to stay the same. So I think we're on the same page in that we'll get into starting 11s in a little bit. The one potential addition to close to that back four, but obviously the starting 11, Casemiro, Rob brought up in the chat a little bit earlier saying that he's likely to get the work permit and he's scheduled to train. I'd like to go on Twitter and just sort of see that and sort of get those training pictures that we all want from these new signings. Because has Casemiro actually been announced as a player? He's got the formal, the agreement was done with Real Madrid. Yeah. Casemiro is going to be a United player. There was the unveiling on the pitch, but is he a Manchester United player in regards to the way they register players, and he's holding a shirt up like in terms of the first interview on the club's website? Do you class him as that, or do you still think there is a little bit of a hurdle in regards to...
No. He's registered. They did do a social media press the same day of the Liverpool match. I think it's just been lost because of how positive the result has been, and obviously the transfer news is obviously taken priority. But he definitely is official. I guess the concern and what isn't official though has been his visa, his working visa. So he's allowed to be in the country, of course, but he needs his working visa to play. Not just that time. I mean, I think it's going to be a bit early for him personally. Just even if his visa has cleared, if he's only just training with the team today, we've got the game in 2 days' time, just a little over 48 hours. I don't think that's enough time to throw him in, particularly in such a systemic system such as Erik ten Hag's.
It's interesting. Like, look, he's been playing for Real Madrid and he's keeping fit, so I think fitness-wise in coming, it's an interesting shout in regards to the system. Obviously, that's up to Erik ten Hag. Does he think a player that he spends £70 million on doesn't need it a week at training? Does he think he can rely on him? We'll get that answer an hour before kickoff. But Adam here is saying, think Casemiro's visa had just been approved today. And Ugly here, obviously, is keeping on. Still pinching myself that we landed on Casemiro. So my hunch is Casemiro, if fit and is available, he comes in. He probably comes in for Scott McTominay, in my opinion, and I think Bruno and Eriksen. How would you shape up that midfield? I don't, because we're on sort of different settings here and different locations. I don't have the ability to bring up those starting 11s as we usually do, so we'll just sort of talk through it. Back four stays the same. Obviously, David De Gea keeps his spot. That middle three, well, I'm going Casemiro. If Casemiro is not available, how do you line up that midfield three?
I've got Luke Shaw in my team. No, I don't. I just wanted to roll you up. But No, for sure. I'm same back four. I've gone McTominay and Donny Van de Beek. And the reason I've done that is because I think Eriksen did a heap of running against Liverpool. And I just think with the less than a week turnaround, Donny replaced Eriksen in the Liverpool match. And I think there is a view to give Donny a bit more game time. So I think he's going to rotate the squad just a little bit. I think he'll go Van de Beek to replace Eriksen.
Who's
But
higher
I
in the
think he's
pecking
going to
order?
win that.
Who's higher in the pecking order, Fred or Van der Beek? Because I would say, look, I understand the thinking, probably agree with the thinking. In that area of the pitch, I think Fred goes in, and I'm not saying he deserves to. Or I prefer that. I'm just thinking in Eric Ten Hag's thinking what we've seen from him. I think Fred is above Donny Van der Beek.
I think the way Ten Hag is doing it is I think he's got McTominay and Fred as one midfield partnership,
Yeah.
and then he's got Eriksen, Van de Beek, Bruno, and he can rotate them in terms of number 10 or a deep lying playmaker. Um, and I think now you're going to see Casemiro, McTominay, Fred, and I think it's going to be that order in terms of that defensive midfield partner. So if you're asking me McTominay or Fred, I go McTominay personally. I rate McTominay better. I think he's more reliable. I think Fred can be creative in the final third, but he's a disaster in your own half. So, and given McTominay's performance against Liverpool, I think it'd be a difficult task to drop him. I would obviously pick Casemiro if he had more time with the side. I think he'll be on the bench. So I'm going to go McTominay and Van de Beek. Like I said, front four picks itself. I've gone Rashford left, Sancho right, Bruno in the 10, and I think Martial will get his start after his promising cameo against Liverpool.
Yeah, we'll get into the front three in a sec here, but yeah, Sully here saying Eriksen needs to start from the bench, looks spent on Tuesday morning, which I agree, and look, it was a crazy game, so obviously, but it's one of those ones where I don't want to keep bringing it up when we talk about Eriksen and his fitness. We do have to consider the situation around him. Now, I know he's probably fully fit and he's well capable of sort of getting through this season, but there are concerns there. Nothing to be worried about, but it's definitely worth a mention. And Borche here, I should be all over this. I haven't looked at my phone. When is our next game? He's saying might make a few changes with the game midweek. Do we have a game midweek? Potentially, I assume. Do let me know in the
ahead
chat.
of us. I have no idea.
Possibly, I've just been so caught up in the Liverpool news and the Casemiro, so do let me know if we are playing midweek. I think
The Carabao Cup draw was done this morning. I think
that's not till that's not till November. Yeah, well, obviously Steven Gerrard's last game, he'll get the sack after that when he loses at Old Trafford. So do let me know in the live chat. Are we playing Leicester during the week? Viking here saying Anthony Gakpo and De Jong still possible. I wouldn't go on the De Jong one. I think that is all but done from some of the Manchester journalists. They're saying I would give up on that one. Plus the goalkeeper from Newcastle, which we will touch on, Dubravka and Anthony, just one more position in regards to the front three we'll discuss. Ashby here saying 3 points more important than midweek cup game. It's the cup game this. I thought it was in November. Oh no, Leicester. Rob here reminded me. So do have a league, which is good. We want to see Man United play as many games as possible. It is what we do live for. But we'll just move forward in our front three before we wrap up the Southampton preview, Larry. Again, look, he's dominated the discussion, so I don't know how this did slip my mind, but I'm just going to throw it out there and sort of remind people in the live chat, whatever your thoughts are of Cristiano Ronaldo, should he stay, should he go, do you like him, don't you like him? It could be his last game in a Man United shirt. Now, he might start, he might be on the bench, he might not come off the bench. There's a situation where he comes on, and it's the last time we're ever going to see him. So whatever our thoughts are, it's potentially a big game. It's a historic sort of moment which you'll look back in 20, 30 years ago. Yeah, his last game in a United shirt, in a red, well, I say red shirt, it's going to be in that horrible green kit, was away at Southampton. Yeah. So just your thoughts on the Ronaldo situation, because you'd probably say Anthony Martial plays through the middle. Now, does he see a threat where he doesn't play Southampton that way? He might want the sort of guaranteed goals of Ronaldo. How do you see that front three? Because I think Sancho, Rashford pick themselves. Martial probably did enough, in my opinion, to get the nod.
Yeah, I think Martial starts, and that doesn't mean Martial's a better footballer. I just think, in terms of the system that Ten Hag likes, Martial's a better fit. Martial brings others into the game more efficiently. We'll put it that way. You look at the way he linked up the play when he came on. Our attacking threat just increased completely in that second half. And you look purely for the assist against Liverpool. Is Ronaldo capable of that ball? I don't think he is. And that's the difference. I just think Martial offers you a little bit more. In terms of work rate as well, I mean, Ronaldo's not a pressing machine. He never has been, and he's not going to start at 37 years of age. In saying that, Ten Hag has proven that he can play with a bigger striker. I know Huntelaar and Ronaldo are obviously two different types of strikers, but it can be done. I think Ronaldo will have an important part to play this season. I don't think it's as simple and as black and white as Martial's preferred, therefore the good striker. I think in those games where you do have a lower block, I think there'll be a definite opportunity to play both of those players. So I wouldn't be too concerned. In terms of Ronaldo leaving, Tom, I'm making my final decision here. I think Ronaldo's going to stay at Manchester United. There are no suitors for him. It's late in the transfer window. Mendes has done his absolute best to shop his biggest client out, but I think he'll stay United.
Okay, well, make sure everyone tunes in to tomorrow when Larry confirms Ronaldo is leaving. But in regards to that, you did give me a bit of a throwback there to Huntelaar. I think you did mean Sebastian Haller, but Huntelaar, that could be nightmares from his time back. Yeah, similar type of striker, and obviously has that Ajax connection. Now, the chat is absolute shambles at the moment in regards to the game. Is Wednesday, Tuesday, Friday? So I have no idea. We're playing Leicester next week. That's all I know from the live chat. It could be any of those 3 days. So I will have a look for my own self. But thank you for all the interaction in the live chat. Now get your score predictions in the chat for us, because here we are, predicted a 4-1 defeat against Liverpool. We ran out 2-1 victors. You know, I'm not a huge fan of score predictions, but you'd have to think now. Yes, when the whistle goes, those nerves will kick in. You think, oh god, it's nervous now. Surely we win this match. Now I've said that so many times before. But just your thing, I would go, if I was doing a tipping, I would say 2-0 United. Because I think that back four, not just the front three, I think that back four will have a bit of confidence. I know they conceded a goal, but I can see them really stepping up and potentially giving our first clean sheet of the season.
Oh, here's one for you, Tom. When's the last time we won a match at St. Mary's? We always draw at St. Mary's. So I can't be confident.
I'm sure someone in the live chat does know. When is the last one we won down there?
That's what I'm saying. We just do not win when we verse Southampton at St. Mary's. So I'm gonna go win, because I just can't bring myself to say a draw, but I think a draw is on the cards. I don't think United will lose. How much can they frustrate us? I think that'll be the key.
They raise that bar every week they can, Larry. But in regards to that, we'll move on from the Southampton Premier. We'll start to wrap up just with the two big bits of news. And who knows, make sure you are subscribed, because we might be going live a little bit later. It does look like this Antony deal is on the verge of potentially happening. Because Man United bid 80 million. Ajax wanted 100 million. It's kind of very likely those deals sort of fall in the middle. It does look like around 90 million is going to be the fee that will get Antony. And here I was been on the last 2 days saying, look, if he's going to cost 100 million and Gakpo costs 50 million, go and get Gakpo. Now, as like any Manchester United, any football fan, the news gets closer that this player is going to sign. You go onto YouTube and it sort of raises your excitement. I've been watching Antony again. He's so good. Like, he'll be one of those players. Like, he'll be a fan favourite if things are going well. And if things aren't going well, he'll be an easy target, because we'll think, what are these flashy tricks and flicks for? Just get on, just do the basics right. So a little bit like Nani, which we've spoken about in the past, capable of absolute magic. And then when things don't go well, it's kind of public enemy number one. So it's one of those ones that's a huge price tag, and that adds huge pressure, not just for the player, but obviously the manager, because it's definitely an Erik Ten Hag signing. This player has been linked since day one, so it's not a sort of panic signing in regards to the club's eyes. Now maybe the price is obviously a panic sort of signing. But just your latest thoughts, because at the moment, I was here sitting the other day, I think there's a case for Gakpo, especially business-wise, but now it does look like they're ready to make a compromise, Ajax, and accept this £90 million bid. It does look like Antony is going to be a Man United player. Now are you happy with that? Obviously, you welcome the quality, but in regards to the whole package, just your thoughts on him.
Doesn't look like money well spent, to be honest. And I don't mean to be a pessimist.
You say, look, Gordon for 60 million, Isaac had just gone to Newcastle for 70 million. I know, I agree with you, but if you look around the league and some of the prices, and he's young, and he has that ability, as I've spoken with Louis, that ability to, if he does kick on, if he does develop, he could be a superstar.
I'm with you, Tom. He definitely has all the capability and all the ability, but we've just seen when you're talking about the Eredivisie and the translation into the Premier League, it can be 50-50, particularly for a winger. I think that's a really crucial point here. I mean, I look at Jadon Sancho and how long he took to fire up for United or get going. And he came from oh, there goes my light, sorry. He was, there we go, got my light back. If you look at Sancho, he came from the Bundesliga, which I actually think translates to the Premier League quite well. But the difference here is he's coming from the Eredivisie. It's obviously a much more physical league. It's a quicker league. And the type of play he is, you mentioned Nani. I think that's a very accurate comparison. It's going to be tricky for him. I hope he fires quickly, because if he doesn't, you can already picture the headline. You can already picture the criticism that's going to come from rival fans. It's just going to keep going for him. So it's going to be tricky for Antony. I hope he feels it. I back the manager if he believes in this player. But you have to say, while you try to be optimistic, it does come with a little bit of hesitance.
Yeah, and I think rightly so. I think it's one of those ones. The ability excites me. Like, it's what Manchester United is built on. Those sort of attacking, tricky wingers. They'll get you on the edge of the seat. So as I say, when we're winning games, he's going to be brilliant. There'll be a bloody statue of him. Like, he will be a fan favourite. You just need Manchester United as a whole. Like, if we fail, it's not going to be down to Antony doing one too many step overs. It'll be a collective thing. So you can't pin all the sort of failures on him. Fingers crossed there are no failures. But he will be an easy target. And I think that is because of the price tag, because he's Erik ten Hag signing. So in regards to backing the manager, that is the complete point. And if it's Erik ten Hag signing, which it obviously does sort of definitely look like, you do have to back it 100%. Unfortunately, it's the price. But we sit here, when we spend too much money, we say, oh, it's too much money, okay, we shouldn't be spending that. Then when we don't spend the money, we're so critical, say, oh, back the manager, spend exactly what it wants. It's not our money. So we are hypocrites in regards to that. But just one more player came out of nowhere. Now, there has been talk of a goalkeeper situation or addressing the goalkeeping issue over the last couple of weeks. It's come out that Kevin Trapp did get a written offer. He confirmed by Manchester United. He's turned it down to stay at Frankfurt. It does look like Manchester United are in for Dubravka from Newcastle on loan. Now, on the the outlook of things, you probably think, okay, he's coming in as a reserve goalkeeper to sort of challenge David De Gea, because we've obviously lost Dean Henderson. Is Tom Heaton going to be that goalkeeper to push David De Gea? Probably not. So we need to bring in a second goalkeeper. Now, the issue around the goalkeeper, or the discussion around the goalkeeper, whoever was to come in, how does he play? Does he play with his feet? Now, Dubravka, I've seen him plenty of times in the Premier League. It's something I've never noticed. He might be the best player with the feet in the goalkeeping department. He might be woeful. I'm not sure. So in the live chat, if you do know how Dubravka is with his feet, do let us know. But just in regards to that, both the attributes that he'll bring to Man United and the pressure he'll put on De Gea, just your thoughts on this name, because not many players will be moving from Newcastle to Man United at the moment. It just seems the other way players should be going from United sort of to progress their careers in terms of these young players towards Newcastle. You're looking at Jesse Lingard. We were talking about potentially Marcus Rashford earlier in the window. Dean Henderson was obviously linked with replacing Dubravka as well. So just your thoughts on the move.
I'm actually quite excited by it, to be honest. Like, this isn't an obvious name. We both didn't know who this player was until this report came out. So this tells me it might actually...
I knew who Dubravka was, but I don't know how he is with his feet. I know him as a goalkeeper. I don't watch the goalkeepers to...
I'm with you. I've seen the name, but I've never seen him play. So I couldn't tell you what sort of goalkeeper he is. But the thing I do like about it is it's not an obvious name. It's not a Onana from Ajax. It's not another...
I thought you were going to say Victor Valdez when we brought him in. Remember Victor Valdez played for Man United? One of the great trivia questions.
Crazy times. And he grew his hair out too. It's crazy. But nonetheless, like, this is why I like the signing. I also think, like, look internally, I think it's quite damning, with all due respect to Tom Heaton. Ten Hag has obviously seen something and said, no, this guy can't be my number 2. He's not going to challenge De Gea. So there's something in this signing where he must believe that he can push De Gea. And De Gea, unfortunately, doesn't perform unless he's got someone nipping at his ankles. So I hope it goes well. And look, it's a loan. There's no damage to be done, really. So you'd have to think the Spaniard will still play 90% of our games, but it gives United an option.
Yeah, no, definitely. It does look like, if you're at Newcastle, now I don't know what their goalkeeping situation is, but if Man United come knocking, now I've just said yes, players very likely potentially, in terms of the situations both clubs find themselves in and certain individuals at Man United, you could see a path from Man United players going to Newcastle for whatever reason to kick on or to sort of restart their career. But now it's very sort of, if you're at Newcastle and Man United come knocking, it's always said with Christian Eriksen, okay, yes, Brentford were there, yes, Brentford were an option, they weren't. If you're at Newcastle and Man United come knocking, he's going to come. So I think this deal is going to happen. Whether I think it's a good one or a bad one, I'm not quite sure. You're always sort of mixed on the reserve goalkeeping signings. Sort of you need them. Are they ones that fill you with the same excitement as an Antony will? No, they won't. So obviously you do have to trust Erik ten Hag. Hopefully it's his signing. Or is in sort of constant dialogue with the goalkeeping coaches, and maybe they have sort of recommended him, and he definitely does have to take their word for it because they are the goalkeeping experts. I'm not sure Erik ten Hag is that, and that's not to criticise Erik ten Hag, but that is where your sort of coaching staff and your scouting team need to have their work done completely. This comment here, which we'll start to wrap up. George here saying, if Ronaldo does leave, do we have options to sign anyone? Hopefully not a Gallo type signer, which is since day one, been my whole concern with the Ronaldo thing. I want to keep him. If you want to get rid of him, if you think we're better without him, if you think he's a problem, if you think he doesn't like the other players or he's only selfish, first of all, just watch him celebrate the goal for Jadon Sancho against Liverpool. But if you want him to go, replace him. The names I've heard to replace him are like those, you say the Igalo type signings. Now I know Jamie Vardy had just signed a new contract, but I was worried about a Jamie Vardy or an Ivan Toney. Now, okay, Tony's very good at Brentford. Do I want him to lead the line at Manchester United? No, I don't. So if those are the players who come in to replace Ronaldo, I have huge concerns. Now, if Ronaldo leaves and Erik ten Hag has an ace up his sleeves, and maybe that's a Gakpo, or if Anthony Martial can stay fit, which I can't rely on, but those are the things that concern me if Ronaldo does leave. But if that does happen, now you just said 20 minutes or 10 minutes ago, Larry, that you think Ronaldo stays. Fast forward 24 hours to when our opinion changes and Ronaldo wants to leave again. What's the striking situation for you in regards to what do the club do? Is Martial all the eggs in that basket and we're wrapping him up in cotton wool and he's going to be fit? Or is it a new signing? Now, is that signing Anthony?
Has to be Gakpo, because that's the name we're seeing now. If Ronaldo leaves, then you have to go replace him with a good young striker. Someone who can be the future. No more of these stopgaps. No more Edison Cavani signings. No more.
But Anthony, 100 million. Okay, Anthony comes in, and I can see that from a PR thing. You can see Anthony getting the 11, or he could get the 11 shirt. Who knows? Or the 7 shirt if Ronaldo leaves. He's not a striker. So what happens? Okay, there's the investment. There's the other attacker. Is Rashford and Ronaldo Rashford and Martial sort of used as sort of centre forwards, and Anthony, Sancho, Elanga sort of occupy the wide spaces?
I don't. With all due respect to Elanga, he lacks quality, doesn't he? I like what he did against Liverpool, but that might be the only team in the Premier League where he suits that.
Oh no, yeah, we had that discussion, but that's what I mean. The moment you take Ronaldo out, well, one of those left wingers in Rashford and Martial have to go central, and suddenly you are using Elanga. So I'm saying, look, I have the same feelings towards Elanga, and I do like him. As I said, very good against Liverpool. But it's one of those ones where, okay, get rid of Ronaldo, he's the problem. Well, you're going to have a bigger problem when you get rid of him, so there better be a bloody good plan to replace him.
Exactly, and that's the thing. If United are going to let Ronaldo walk, you have to get a Gakpo in, someone who's young, who can be striker for United for the next 5 to 7 years. Because if you're not going to get that player, yeah, he has to stay. It's as simple as that.
George here with a comment here. Larry and I have discussed this a little bit over the years, or over the last couple of years. Jadon Sancho central. I wouldn't say as a centre forward, but both Larry and I do see him. Don't see him. We could see potential as a future number 10 in terms of the way he does play the game. Maybe very suited to that, and if that's going to eventuate, who knows? At the moment, I think he's sort of nailing down that right hand spot, which he was obviously brought into those 2 years ago, or a year ago. But the Jadon Sancho one is interesting, and I think. Well, not started the season well because those first 2 games. Let's say the season started against Liverpool, clean slate. That was the first game of the season. He started very well. So fingers crossed Jadon Sancho can kick on and sort of get us on our way to more 3 points against Southampton. But is there anything I sort of haven't or missed or you want to touch on before we do wrap up, Larry?
No, just for the love of God, get the 3 points against Southampton. It's as simple as that.
No, definitely couldn't agree more. As you can see from the banner below, and there is the link in the description below to the Man United Supporters Club, the last kickoff in Sydney, or the last kickoff in Australia as a friendly time before the World Cup. So the last one remaining this year, it's 9:30 on a Saturday night, which is absolute prime time. It beats 5 a.m. on a Tuesday or 3 a.m. Monday morning. So if you are in Sydney, come down to Scruffy Murphy's in the city. We'll gather sort of from about 8:30, about an hour before kickoff. Everyone's welcome. You obviously have to be over 18. But we'll have plenty of things there. We'll have a lucky door prize. We'll get your ticket on the door. Come in. There'll be a raffle as well. Maybe a signed shirt or something we'll bring along. Something to eat, something to drink. Plenty of Man United fans in there. And as I said, there are things to look forward to. One, the 3 points, obviously. Fingers crossed. couple of beers with mates and United fans, have a sing-song, that's all enjoyable. But also, Casemiro debut. You always want to see a debut, that's exciting. And as I say, maybe it's not exciting, maybe this is something I'm not looking forward to, but in regards to, as I said, a potential historic moment, it could be the last time we see Ronaldo in a Man United shirt. And that is obviously something to watch. Now, I don't want to watch with excitement, but that is something there. So there is plenty happening on Saturday night. So there is a link in the description below, or just send us a message and we'll give you further details. But feel free to just rock up. Now, a few of us are having dinner beforehand, so if you are in the city a little bit earlier, send us a message. I think I've got a booking for 10 people, so I think there are one or two spots available. So if you are keen for a feed, do let me know. We can throw you on the table with a few of the pubcast lads. But anything else, Larry?
No, mate, let's roll with it. Here's to 2 points, and here's to Varane staying fit. Because
Are you playing NRL? How many points do teams get in NRL for a win? 2 points or 3?
2 points. 2 points.
Well, Man United will go for the 3.
Yeah, United will go for the 3 for sure. But I want to see that back four get some consistency, because we've just missed that for so long. And it's the first time you feel confident with it. So fingers crossed, Varane stay fit, another man of the match performance, him and Martinez, and we'll be happy days.
No, couldn't agree more. So until then, make sure you do leave a like on the video. That would be great. If you are new, you could hit that subscribe button. That would be fantastic. And for those in Sydney, we'll see you on Saturday night. Maybe back with a Friday night pint tomorrow if there's a little bit of breaking news. But if not, we'll see everyone on Saturday night. Until then, have a good weekend and cheers.
Cheers.